So in Western North Carolina, there have been people who have been cataloging what's been going on with that part of the country for the longest time. There are people who live there. One guy who's gotten a good amount of followers on this is named Matt Van Swall, head of subscription growth, former nuclear scientist for U.S. Department of Energy, ex-photographer for Apple, United, Hyatt. And there's a link to his work in the show notes, and he should be getting a lot more follows. He's been doing a fantastic job of showing what FEMA refused to do within Western North Carolina. And now he's sitting in the perfect place to show what President Trump's team is doing within Western North Carolina. James Rosen has also done this with former Fox reporter, James Rosen TV. I'll talk about this in terms of the money, but also the action and what they're putting to play in Western North Carolina, a lot of it based on his work. Money's always at the center of things in power structures, always is. My friend Zach Abraham is doing his first free live webinar of the year post-election. It is the 30th of tomorrow, January 30th. And in this, he's going to talk about the likely effects of Trump policies, his energy secretary, commerce secretary. We get agriculture in. RFK Jr. comes in. Is the president serious about doing away with the income tax and replacing it with tariffs? Is the Secretary of Energy serious about us being the dominant energy provider in the world, including micronuclear? All those things sound like a watershed for the U.S. economy, and they probably would be. But what if your portfolio is not set up to take advantage of that? Or what if the empire fights back? Because you know they will. So in this free live webinar, Zach is going to go through those scenarios, and he'll talk about how the Bulwark portfolio has performed through the year, what they're seeing coming up, and how this affects your ability to retire and stay retired. It's free, but you have to register to attend. Go to knowyourriskradio.com. That's K-N-O-W, knowyourriskradio.com. Bulwark Capital Management is an investment advisor representative of Trek Financial LLC, an SEC-registered investment advisor. Investments involve risk. You could lose money, and past performance doesn't guarantee future results. Trek 25-103. James Rosen TV put this on Twitter. Breaking. Flanked by FLOTUS and Franklin Graham in Asheville, North Carolina, President of the United States tells reporters he intends to dissolve FEMA, saying the nation's premier disaster relief agency has itself been a disaster, and that governors should wield more authority in leading their states to recovery. Praise God, yes. This is a major shell game Washington, D.C. plays. They take money from the states, they send it to D.C., they pay themselves, they pay their retirements, their pensions. No one else in the world gets pensions but government employees. They hire NGOs that are friends of theirs who then launder money back to the party of government, which is the Democrats, and then they send a little tiny bit back to the states here and there. It's a major shell game. It is a huge myth that FEMA gives any states money. FEMA takes, it doesn't give. You'd be much better off having a series of state agencies that can choose to work together if it's a multi-state affair. There can be coordination efforts by the federal government, coordinated between the states, but the financial shell game should end because it ends up that politicized governments and under the people who ran Joe Biden, all things were politics, ends up that there's the foot dragging that bureaucrats brag about. Oh, sure, it's just it works so then. We're just going to be extra careful to make sure that people we don't agree with ideologically don't get the help they need. This is from an actual FEMA press conference where they were confronted about why on earth is this taking so long?
Why is there such a delay? Why is there only 27 trailers here and going into winter?
There are a number of different complicating factors. So, for example, siting a mobile unit on a private property has a lot to do with, for example, topography. Here in Buncombe County, we've got a lot of mountains. You've got a lot of considerations, not just with where is it to actually put the unit, but then also hooking up utilities, making sure the electrical lines, the plumbing lines, everything is good to go and it's safe for a family to stay in.
Why is it taking a long time? Because stuff is hard. Wait, the question was, you are the almighty FEMA. with gajillions of dollars taken from the states. You've barely constructed any tiny homes, but the Amish can in a couple of days. It's because there's mountains and stuff is hard, plus utilities. Maybe start with shelter, like 4 walls and some insulation, and maybe a wood stove. Because funny thing, most people in Western North Carolina know how to deal with wood stoves. Wow. FEMA under President Trump is a little bit different. This is also from the same source we've been talking about. This is Matthew Van Swol, and he noticed something that started to occur right after President Trump came into office. If you're watching the video, you see the storm-damaged areas, and you're going to notice something. They're starting to get cleaned up. They're fixing the roads. They're moving the rubble off the roads. They're beginning to move the wires off the roads. Biden didn't do any of this. The rubble stayed behind and became a problem. They couldn't get to grocery stores. They couldn't get anywhere. So Biden ignored all of this. Matt also posted videos of trucks coming in, the Army Corps of Engineers bringing in massive convoys of trucks. I mean, and it's just a video of trucks passing by. Trolls on Twitter came and said, that's contextual editing. Deep fake. So he had to release the entire video, 20 minutes of trucks rolling by. That didn't happen under the figurehead. Biden ignored, it seems, the victims in North Carolina.
We've been doing a little bit of battling with our insurance and FEMA. We did have proper insurance with flood insurance and homeowners insurance. But since we had proper insurance, FEMA's not been able to assist us with a whole lot of things.
And the President of the United States is standing here. He has given this man his podium. That man is speaking behind the seal of the President of the United States as President Trump looks on. This man holding his little boy, hard to tell with the coat on, little boy, is detailing what he has dealt with FEMA and big insurance, which is, of course, big government, as President Trump listens. Phenomenal moment.
And again, we've been having some issues with trying to get some payout for our insurance in a timely manner. We had to do mold mitigation on our home, which is extremely expensive, before the structural engineer even came out in order to get our flood payout. And to me, that was not really acceptable.
Has the insurance company been responsive or not really?
Not so much.
That was the president asking, has your insurance company been responsive?
Again,
Give you the money they have to give you?
I'm hoping so. And we need some assistance with that. We reached out to an attorney.
What's the name of the insurance company?
North Carolina Farm Bureau.
Oh. What's the name of the insurance company, says the President of the United States? North Carolina Farm Bureau. Now, just imagine that you're the boss person of North Carolina Farm Bureau, and you go, oh.
You got to move them, right?
Yep,
That's terrible.
that's what we're after here.
Are a lot
So
of people having that problem too? With the insurance companies, general? Different insurance companies? And they're all difficult or just the one particular one?
I've heard different stories from others, and a lot of folks are.
Responsive?
And I've heard some good instances of even Farm Bureau themselves. But in my case, they'd send out a third-party adjuster immediately. Well, they wound up firing that third-party adjuster group. He gave us a quote for a much higher estimate than what we received.
And you got fired?
And then he got let go. Yeah, he got fired. So then they brought in another third-party adjuster to come in and lowball us.
The President of the United States did something so vitally important here, is that he took the voices of people who had for months been ignored by the people who run Joe Biden. I mean, this isn't California, after all. This is Western North Carolina. And that's a really compassionate use of the bully pulpit, letting the people speak. It's smart politics, it's retail, but it also is FEMA under President Trump. I intend to be there hearing you. Now, you notice this, that people like Biden and Obama are often by the Mockingbird media referred to as comforter-in-chief. What do you think is more comforting? They come and do a flyby, sign some hats, pretend to serve some coffee, or a man who says, no, you take my podium? and standing there. And I think that's a humble Donald Trump. He doesn't seem to be attention-seeking. It seems to be humble Donald Trump. After all of this, there was a little news that broke about FEMA and about what FEMA did and didn't do. And again, this is Matt Van Swal with this. The local media learned some things about FEMA, what got accomplished under the people who run Joe Biden, or rather ran him.
On the armed guards and through the chain link fence.
Taxes it. Hard at work.
And you'll see what looks like a simple solution.
I wonder why they're sitting here and not with the family that needs it.
Almost 80 FEMA trailers shipped in from Alabama and Maryland that Aiden Lingerfeld, who works nearby, says haven't budged in months.
They came in, they've been sitting since.
He's far from the only one who shared those words. A WCNC Charlotte viewer emailed me a picture of these trailers and said they've been here since Thanksgiving. She wondered when the federal government was going to deliver them to the people of Western North Carolina. So we came up to Hickory, and during our visit, we ran into a FEMA spokesperson who told us the agency is moving trailers out of here all the time. The federal agency says it's placed 140 households in temporary units like these, has 49 trailers in Helene-impacted counties that are in the process of being installed, and has active work orders for another 18 trailers that will eventually be delivered to a combination of private and commercial sites. But it's not as seamless as the public would hope. County permitting requirements and weather delays have slowed down the process.
We got to get the victim in the home, and logistically it has been tough. The weather has not cooperated at all, but that can't be an excuse.
Philip Barrier says 10 families in Avery County need trailers, and so far, FEMA has only delivered 2.
And I hear about them being deployed every day. They're just not deployed to Avery County.
The county manager says as those families remain temporarily housed in hotels, FEMA has spent 2 weeks looking at a possible site where the agency could place several trailers.
Crazy that, this is just me, and I ain't no FEMA genius. It's so weird that they couldn't, bring the families there and hook up power to the houses there in, that lot. I mean, that can't be done. It's impossible to transport families. Yeah, President Trump's right. FEMA should be dissolved. The power should be given to the states, and with the power, the expectations. Because there's a strange thing that happens. Washington, D.C. doesn't need to particularly care about Western North Carolina because they're not there. They live in the center of the universe. There's never a recession or depression. And if there is a natural disaster that hits, it's taken care of immediately because they have endless access to money. People are more responsive when the disaster's at home.